O believers, fasting is prescribed for you, as it was for those before you. So perhaps you will become mindful of God. Fast the prescribed number of days, but whoever is ill or on a journey, then let him fast an equal number of days after Ramadan. For those who can only fast with extreme difficulty, compensation can be made by feeding a needy person for every day not fasted. But whoever volunteers to give more, it is better for them. And to fast is better for you only if you knew. It's interesting because people ask me, I started fasting for this Ramadan. Hello, I'm back. I started fasting for this Ramadan. And sometimes people are like, why are you fasting? What does it do? And sometimes some Muslims, they say, it's to feel how other people feel if they don't have food. Some people say autophagy, if you guys know what autophagy is. Autophagy is when the cells in your body eat itself. Basically, you eat the garbage cells in your body, and then when you eat, you produce better cells, so strengthening your body. Some people say they feel better. But really, what the thing about fasting is to do what? So fasting is prescribed for you, as it was for those before you. So perhaps you will become mindful of God. So perhaps you will become mindful of God. So what does that mean? Like, how does fasting make you mindful of God? Some people, they fast and they only fast and they're just hungry or thirsty. But some people become mindful of God. And like, what is it? How does fasting get you connected to the spiritual realm? Essentially, that's what I'm asking, or what people are asking. This is what I've come up with so far. And like, tell me where I'm missing, but this is where I've come up with so far. When you fast, you have this part of your brain, it's called the thalamus or the hypothalamus. And that's part of the brain that's part of your cravings for food. But what is eating? Eating is full bodily. It's full, like you have to eat to survive. Everything eats. So what is the human mind? What are like the base needs of a human, for the human minds, which is you have to breathe, you need food, and you have water. Now there's shelter, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so on and so forth, but there's really just breathing, and food and water. By the way, if you do breath work, you can get into a spiritual experience as well. So you're kind of controlling these base instincts. Now, if you can restrict yourself from your base desires, right, which is food is like the primary base desires, like the sexual desires and all that stuff, but your real base desire is food. What that's happening is it subdues, in the Islamic tradition, they have this idea called the nafs, your lower self. So it subdues the feeling of the body. Now, when you're subduing the feelings of your body, you're lowering your body, your bestial nature. So you live inside two natures. You have consciousness. Now, your consciousness is awareness, but the consciousness that you have is locked in by your bodily nature. So for example, it's like you're you, but you get pulled in. It's like you, but you're addicted to food. You're addicted to the pleasures. Now you can list over some of your pleasures, but those pleasures will become addictions if you allow them to. But those are it's the same addiction. It's a dopamine addiction. If you look at my other videos, I would talk about dopamine addiction. It's really just dopamine addiction. So the pleasures that you have, you become addicted to said pleasures. But what if you could train your body to subdue said pleasures? Then who are you? Well, then you're pure consciousness. So you can, there's a beast, like in Rene Descartes, the philosopher Rene Descartes, he would say that there's the pig and then there's the human. So your pig is your animal instincts, right? Eat, you know what they are, right? Eat, it's all that. But if you can let go of that, well, maybe then you can elevate your own self, elevate your own spirit. And through elevating your own spirit, you become more God conscious. Now add that to this idea that you're giving up something for the greater good that doesn't seem necessary. So like, let's just say that you don't even think about autophagy. Like, who cares about autophagy? Or you don't really think about, what were the other benefits that I said? You don't really care about like those kind of benefits. But if you're giving up something so primordial for something bigger than yourself every day for 30 days, what would that change out of you? How could that change who you are as a human being? Now for 30 days, because you are your interface. You know, if you're, whatever you eat, you become. Whatever you think, you become. Whatever you listen to, you become. So what if you were to fast from something? So fasting is not just about fasting from food, although that is the primary thing that you can fast for. You can also fast. You know, I have some Christians that I'm around, and they have this thing called Lent. They're doing Lent around the same time as now. And the Christians, you know, they give up food. They'll give up food. They'll take away something. Maybe they'll take away coffee, or they'll take away video games, or like whatever. And what they're doing is they're giving up something for the greater good. But what's harder to give up than your appetite? Something that you do 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a day. Every time you think about food, you think, no. Maybe God is greater in the moment. Now, if you couple fasting, the long-term fasting, with prayer, aka meditation, you start to realize that you have these pulls inside of your body. And these pulls control you, and you can notice these pulls. That's my idea on fasting. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hey, and yeah, like whoever's still here, if you guys are still here, if there's people who are still watching, yeah, I stopped making videos for a while, and I'll tell you why I stopped making videos for a while. You know, sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just exploring these ideas, and you know, I dive into the Islamic faith. I dive into the Christian faith, I dive into the Jewish faith, I dive into a lot of different faiths, and I think I got caught in a rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole was following all these different arguing preachers. I don't know their names, I don't really care. You know who I'm talking about, right? You see, like, if you're following any type of Islamic content, you're seeing all the fitna jumping around. But just know that fitna, it destroys your soul. It is distracting, and it's just Islamic drama or Christian drama or whatever it is. Now, what they tend to do, now if you watch them, what they'll tend to do is they'll tear the other person's perspective down. And usually what they're doing is they're straw manning it. If you guys don't know what straw manning is you take the weakest position of the other person, and you exploit the weakest position, and you manipulate it. And these people are, I find that a lot of these people are not in pursuit of the truth. They're in pursuit to say that, hey, my version of thinking is better than your version of thinking. But let me offer you a different perspective. I hope that you guys can see me because the sun is super in my eyes, but let me offer you guys a different perspective. To the Muslims, maybe the Christians are necessary. Maybe God did that on purpose, obviously. Well, obviously he did do that on purpose. And maybe what he did was, you know, the Christians will poke at some things in Islam that doesn't make sense. And here's a little hint. If it doesn't come from the Quran, it's possible that it could be made up. Don't shoot the messenger. But it's possible that it could be made up. And to the Christians, maybe when you look at the gospel and they're saying some things don't make sense in there, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you need somebody from an outside perspective to look at your perspective and go, hey, this is a problem. And maybe it's possible that, you know, in all of these religions, which I hope that I can go through later, you'll see that you have capture by, it's an appeal to authority fallacy. Whereas you have these people that just because they're the priest class, they know better than you and you don't question. But God tells you, you know, if you believe in God, if you believe in the God of the Quran, God tells you to, hey, you should question and you should wonder. He says that some of the parts of the Quran we make obvious to you. And some of the parts of the Quran are ambiguous. They're kind of unknown. So you might have to wonder about it. You might have to think about it. I hope that you guys can still hear me. And by doing that, I think what's happening is you realize that the priest class cannot capture a religion. So to the people who want to know, read the book. You know, if you want to know about the religion, if you want to the Christians that want to attack Islam, you know, what I would suggest for you to do is actually read it with an open heart, and don't just try to attack it from your side. And for the Christians that want to attack Judaism, the Muslims that want to attack Judaism or Christianity or like whatever, why don't you look into the religion and try to find the love in there? Try to find where God is speaking to you there. Don't strawman everybody. Okay, bye.